Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Ursa. I originally come from Slovenia, lived in Austria for 13 years and now live in Norway with my hobby since early 2021. So today this is the first video we are filming in our new apartment in Norway, so I'm very excited about that and I want to welcome you to our new home. And just wanted to remind you not to forget to subscribe and click on the notification and go to the comment to let me know what you like, what you don't like and what you want to know more about. So today I want to present you my list of the essential things you need to do when you're moving to another country. And since the list is huge, I'm gonna divide it in two parts, and this is the first one. We lived in Austria before and decided to move to Norway, and we started this process in the second half of 2020, and we started our road trip to Norway on the 31st December the same year. So without further ado, let's hit the list. Number one, do your research. So when I was putting down the list of things you need to organize, we were actually still back in Austria organizing our trip and move to Norway. And while doing so, I realized there's a ton of things that need to be done and you can easily get overwhelmed with it. So make your research, make sure you know something about the country and you know what you need to do in order to move there. And the first question is, why are you moving to a new country? Is it because of your job, because of your partner? Do you want to study there, or you just want to live in the country of your dreams? And it takes some organization and some research to have some information about your new destination. If you're moving for a job and your company is sending you to a new country, or you have a company in another country getting you there, you might be very lucky and have a relocating package, and also maybe some people in your home country that are at the destination or vice versa, and will help you through the whole process, or maybe even the company will take over this process for you. But still, it's your life and you should do your research for yourself. And it starts with visa, goes on with the currency, language, but it also is about climate, for example. We moved to a much colder country, and also a country where the difference with the daytime is a bit more significant than it is back home. So for me it was also very funny because people told me, because I'm from Slovenia and I live half an hour away from the seaside, which actually doesn't really make a lot of difference for me, because when I lived at home I didn't go to the seaside very often, but everybody just assumed that if I moved away from Austria I would move back home or to somewhere close to the seaside, because you know Austria is a landlocked country. So I didn't understand this, but on the other hand it was very funny because Norway actually has so much coastline, you actually already have to look for an accommodation that would not oversee the seaside. But still, it's much colder in the end. It may be a funny thing, and it might be not even important to you, because for us, for example, it's not. But if this is the case, you should know about it before you move. Number two, find about the requirements for your job in your prospective country. Find out if there is any special things that you need to organize, except for visas, for example. Do you need any permissions to work there? And be also aware that bureaucracy sometimes takes time. Not sometimes, always takes time. So for example, my ex-boyfriend went to a fellowship to Canada, and after he got accepted, he had to fill in all the different formularies and get an appointment with doctors and so on and so on. And what was expected to be done in a couple of weeks actually took place over a couple of months. And since he was supposed to start in July, this whole process got a bit intense, with the summer vacation and everything. And he actually arrived to Canada 2 months later than expected. So it still got him, he was able to start, but it got him to a rocky start. And after he arrived, he didn't have any time to organize everyday things, you know. He ended up doing this after long night shifts on a couple of days off that he had, and it just got a bit messier than actually it was supposed to be. If you live in a EU or EEA, so economic area country, this is much simpler, at least the process of doing so, because there is no visa needed and you can stay in another country, that of your origin, for at least 3 months. After that, of course, you need to have a proof why you want to live there, if this is for a job or any other reasons, but you have at least 3 months to do so, and you can enter the country without having a visa. This was my case, for example. In Austria, I had an excellent job, good salary, nice working hours, I knew people, I knew my way around. So when we decided to move to Norway, me and my husband, we both changed our jobs. So I wanted to make sure that I'm still able to work as a doctor and didn't want to go out on a limb and just do whatever. So I had a job already before I quit my job in Austria, and this for me was the most comfortable way to doing the move. For my husband, he's web designer, by the way, so if you have any projects that you would like to do, he's your man. I'm gonna give you the link in my description of this video, so go to his homepage and check it out. So he had basically 2 jobs when we were in Austria, and he left his corporate job and when we came to Norway, he basically decided to go to do his own business full-time, which he probably would not do while in Austria and working, you know, the comfortable 9-to-5 job, but this meant some risk, but also following his passion. So he started registering his company already in December, which meant that he could start working with his new company already in the beginning when we moved here, register it here, and also getting his personal number, insurance, and so on and so on. So if you are opening a new business in your new country, and this is like in EU or in Norway, for example, the reason to get your proof of residency, you have to also prove that your company is viable, that you have source of income, that you have some business, and you can do by presenting the business that you had in the last years in your own country with the same business. You can also look for a new job when already in your new country, and if you don't know another way, there are a lot of staffing agencies which have jobs available, maybe not in your preferred branch, but definitely some jobs available all the time. If you do this, you have to be aware that for your residence permit, the state will ask for a confirmation of an assignment that lasts for at least 6 months. And then, of course, there are always family members like spouses, children, and so on that can get residency permit because of your job and your residency permit in Norway, for example. Number 3, do you have any special recommendation to be able to work in your field in your new country? Medical professions, for example, have to authorize their education in almost every country, for example. And yes, this was already a shock to me when I was researching this before. With my ex-boyfriend, we did a long-distance relationship, and we somehow wanted to be together no matter where and how. So my mentality basically was, I'm a doctor. They need doctors in every single country of this world. So I'm basically allowed to work anywhere, right? Well, forget it, baby. In EU, one of the 4 freedoms that EU citizens enjoy is the free movements for workers, which also extends to the EEA, being European Economic Area. This includes the rights of movement and residence for workers, the entry and residence for family members, and also the right to work in another member state, being treated on equal footing as the individuals who are from that member state. Meaning, if you have a foreign education, in this example, Norwegian employers can give you a certain type of job even if your education is not recognized in this country. On the other hand, you have a lot of regulated professions. This means that these are professions that affect a large amount of people directly and therefore are regulated by the government. In this case, you need a certificate or some kind of approval for a regulatory body to be able to work in that specific field. These fields are, for example, aviation, explosives and pyrotechnics, medical professions, of course, legal professions, schools, kindergartens, and so on and so on. You can find a whole list on Norkut, which lists all of these professions, and it might be useful for you even if you're not moving to Norway. For me, for example, I needed an authorization not only for my medical graduation, medical diploma paper, but also for my specialty in medicine, being pathology. And bureaucracy always takes time. I'm not saying this is bad, but it's just one thing you have to consider when moving to another country and if you want to move in one of these type of jobs. For me, for example, on the homepage of the health organization in Norway, it says that my medical diploma authorization, it's gonna take 3 months, and I need another 3 months for my specialty recognition. And you know, just to calculate this a bit through, in my case as a doctor, you know, you spend 6 years in your med school, and then you spend 5 or 6 years doing your residency, and after 12 years you're finally able to work as a medical specialist. And for me it was just a matter of, I don't want to sit at home doing nothing for these 6 months while the bureaucracy is taking its time doing nothing just because I didn't do research before. But on the other hand, this also is a very positive one. Pathology, for example, is quite a specific branch of medicine, and one might think that there are not so many jobs available in this area. But for a combination of different reasons, jobs do actually pop up all the time, and for these reasons I'm gonna make another video, so if you are interested, let me know in the comments below. But to get back to our topic, while you're sitting at home deciding that you want to move to another country and looking for a job, and if there are not any at that specific moment, this could be a reason that you can start panicking. So therefore, the bureaucracy lasting for 6 months is actually a good thing, because you have a time to find a job in this period. And this is not even the worst case scenario. Before we decided to move to Norway, just for example, we were thinking of moving to the States, and for me, being a doctor and specialist in pathology, that would mean going back to square one. I would have my diploma for medical school, but that would be all. I would have to do residency all over again, and nothing would be recognized back from Austria. So do your research and find out what you need to do to be able to work in your dream job. Number 4, requirements for driving. As a general rule, the driving licenses from EU or EEA country can be used without exchanging them for as long as they are valid in this area. So after they expire, you can just exchange them for, in this case, a Norwegian one without any additional tests. So again, very simple. For the driving licenses from outside, so non-EU or EEA countries, the rules are much stricter and a bit complicated. So you can use those driving licenses for up to 3 months, and after that only some of the driving licenses, so only some of the countries can be exchanged for a Norwegian one if you pass a certain practical part in a specific timeline deadline that is needed. In some cases, you will also need a theory test. Number 5, think of your kids. Depending on their age, they might go to local school or they're interested in going to university. Just make sure you know the requirements to enroll them. And in general, Europe is again very chilled about this, but sometimes you would need a visa, and just check that out. Number 6, the actual move. So depending whether you're renting or owning an apartment or a house, you might have a different amount of stuff that you need to sell, storage, or ship over. As a general rule, and please beware that I'm not even good at following my own rules and advices, bring as few stuff as possible if you can. For large things, you would probably have to consider any way to sell them, and this is actually what we did. We sold as many things as possible and got rid of those. The things that we didn't want to take with us right in that moment, we stored with my parents, and we're gonna just pick them up when we have time, more space, when we just settle down here and figure out just our daily routine. Or they might even bring it over when they come to visit, or just box it up and ship it or bring it over. So our plan was to put everything into boxes and ship it to Norway, to our new address. And we found a company that offered us shipping of 10 boxes, 20 kilos each, for 500 euros. We would fly over, so this would mean driving to Vienna, taking a flight to Oslo, which would cost us about 150, maybe 200 euros each, 400 in total. And then when arriving here to Norway, we wanted to rent a car because, first thing we needed to come home to our new address. We also needed to organize quite a lot of things, buy some stuff also for the new apartment. So this meant we wanted to be flexible and independent. So for us, the best option would be renting a car. And renting a middle-sized car in Norway for about 10 days would cost us at least 400 euros. So after we calculate the 500 euros of shipping the boxes, 400 euros of only flying over for two of us, and 400 euros for the car, we calculated the costs of 1,300 euros for doing the whole move. And the most important part of this was actually how flexible we are going to be at our new destination. So one day while we were talking while shopping for groceries, we actually decided that we should consider driving to Norway with our own car. And this is actually what we did at last. We calculated it beforehand, of course, and the costs that we predicted were much lower than they would be with shipping and flying over. So the road from our home in Austria to our new home in Norway is 2,240 kilometers long. With our car, this would mean filling up the tank approximately 3, maybe 4 times. And at a 60 euros per tank, we calculated this would cost us 240, let's say 240 euros, with having a little bit extra budget, 300 euros. Our actual costs, and this is what I calculated just before starting filming this video, is because of some complications on the Danish-Swedish border, we had to turn around and go back and did some extra kilometers. So we actually filled up the tank 5 times and ended up with costs of 320 euros. So a bit above the budget, but still very realistic. For the ferry that we originally wanted to avoid, we paid 200 euros for the car and both of us. I think we couldn't save much money here, maybe 50 euros if we booked in advance, but this was quite a normal price. And we ended up staying in a hotel for New Year's Eve, which cost us 140 euros. And of course, this is not the cheapest hotel, But you know, on the New Year's Eve and also in the COVID situation, when in Austria we were in lockdown at the time and all the hotels were closed, we did not, because we didn't plan, really know what the situation is in Denmark. So we didn't want to end up standing in front of an Airbnb apartment waiting for the host who is celebrating New Year's Eve somewhere else and not gonna come open it for us, and just complicating the situation even more. So we just wanted to go with a simple hotel stay where there is someone at the reception maybe the whole night if we arrive late, and having a nice breakfast the next day. So in total, the road trip cost us 660 euros, which is definitely a lot if you just consider the amount we plan to spend on a road trip, and this is double the amount. But still, it's a very good deal, since it's less than a half of the amount that shipping and flying to our new destination would cost us. And one also very important thing is that driving by your car, you can actually bring a couple of things that you would not be able or wouldn't ship in a container or in a box to another country. For example, for us, this was a coffee machine, which we unpacked quite in the beginning and had a coffee when we woke up and were trying to sort out everything in our new apartment. So this would be the first part of the essential things that, in my opinion, are needed to be done when moving to another country. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope that you have a tip or two that you can use on your move.